How would you like to make your first million? And today you're here for the treat because we have Dan Ihara with us, and he's a national real estate planner, real estate way advisor, and senior transition visionary. Dan is one of the most trusted voices in America in real estate aging and generational wealth. For more than 2 decades, he has sat at thousands of kitchen tables guiding families through some of the most emotional, financially, and significance of their life. So he quickly discovered that traditional real estate was failing families at the very moment they needed the most support. So selling a home or managing investment property wasn't just a transaction, was the intersection of memory, money, fear, family, and future. So, Dan, tell us, what are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
To me, it's pretty simple. Number one, you got to make money, right? You got to make money, then you got to save that money, and then you got to invest that money. And then you got to measure the cash flow, right? You have to, where you invest money should yield you the highest cash flow yield, right? We do a cash return on investment properties. Then you're going to want to avoid tax if you're going to then parlay that into another investment. So those are the key 5 things that we consider.
So, Dan, out of the 500 millionaires we interview in this podcast, 1 out of 5 are property investors or are related in the property in some form. So, why do you think that we have such a large volume as real estate investor building wealth? And tell us what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of real estate investment.
Well, in all honesty, there's so many real estate investors that really don't consider themselves investors. We're at a point in time where people are passing on and going, and that property is being transferred. We're at the largest transfer of wealth the world's ever seen, with baby boomers and their parents passing on. Well, what happens is the parents pass on, the kids hold on to it. They're actually investors. They don't see themselves as investors. They see themselves as holding mom's old house, right? I'll figure it out later. What they don't realize, and they don't see that home with doors, windows, and a roof as an investment. They see it as mom's old house. So the first thing is really changing the mindset around people who own real estate. From the real estate perspective, I ask one simple question: do you own more than one property? So if the answer is yes, you're an investor. But most people don't consider themselves investors. They just have multiple properties. They don't measure the cash on cash return. They don't measure the cap rate. And in the United States, they think I'm just going to sell that and get the money out. Well, they don't consider capital gains tax as a liability and a problem that's going to really deplete their wealth over time. Yeah. So for us, what we focused our business on is helping the baby boomer and their parents pass on wealth. When we talk about real estate planner, I'm the leader of KW Real Estate Planner. When we talk about real estate plans, we talk about building, protecting, and passing on wealth, right? And that's what is missing in today's real estate industry, because most realtors want to sell and buy just to make money for themselves. What we've done is we're changing the industry to make sure that consumers know that you're going to want a real estate planner. Somebody's going to actually look after your money. Somebody's going to help you build wealth, maybe even teach you how to build wealth. Because frankly, most people don't know how to build wealth, right? And so that's the fundamental knowledge. The other thing that we're noticing around the world today is the young folks, they're not buying real estate, right? They're just not. I don't know if you know this, in the United States, Harry, in 1990, 50% of 35-year-olds owned a home. You know what it is today? 7%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Why are they not buying? Well, for 2 reasons, I believe. Number one is they live in a spend life, not invest life, right? They go on Instagram and see all the fancy things everyone's buying, so they go and buy it, and they spend their money. They don't invest it, number one. Number two is their income didn't rise as fast as inflation has. Inflation outpaced them, and then they throw up their hands and say, you know what, I'm not going to buy. Well, what we do is we help parents and generations of folks unlock wealth from their investment property and help their grandkids and kids buy investment properties, buy homes for themselves, teach them how to build wealth, because the only way to build wealth is to invest. That's the only way. You can't save yourself to money, right? And if you look at the rate of inflation of 2 to 4%, if you're not north of 4 or 5%, you're going backwards, right, in wealth. And so, but most people don't consider looking at their real estate in that manner, right? They just see it as, hey, I'm getting income, or hey, little Johnny, he's a great tenant. You know, it's no problem, because they see real estate as appreciation. They don't consider it in cash flow, right? They don't consider the benefits that you get. They don't consider the appreciation benefits you get, right? And they don't understand that you can actually unlock that. And in the United States, you can defer all of your capital gains tax. It means I've saved millions of dollars for folks and families by doing a 1031 exchange, selling a property, buying another property of equal or greater value, and zero capital gain tax. What we do is we do you know how we do that?
Tell us.
That there's only guarantees in life. The first guarantee is that there will be a day, one day, Harry, you and I, we're going to die one day. That's a guarantee. The second guarantee in life is upon the death of both of you and your spouse, that's the date of transfer of wealth. So if that's the case, what's your plan to make sure that your heirs get everything that you want them to get, when you want them to get it, and how you want them to get it? So we're specialists in creating plans, which involves understanding the properties, understanding longevity, understanding your assets, and then understanding the next generation, PLAN. We wrote a book, Harry, called Property Decisions. It was written, the foreword is written by Gary Keller. He's the oracle of real estate in the world. And he wrote 3 pages in my book because he truly believes that this is a solution that we should be showing up to the community with to help them make good property decisions. It says property decisions, avoiding family disputes and painful taxes to create a legacy that lasts.
So Dan, it's very important. Let's talk about legacy, because you're from Hawaii, a Hawaiian native, and it came to my attention the other interview that we did with another real estate person from Hawaii. It came to my attention that in terms of legacy, the house over there, they're going very expensive. And if you guys don't catch up and learn how to invest in property, you're going to get kicked out from your own land, because, the people go there with money, they buy the properties, and then where are you going to go, guys? So we need more and more people in Hawaii talking about real estate, talking about transfer of wealth, talking about everything that you are pointing out, because indeed, if with a little bit of with some knowledge, they not only can keep the house, they also can generate income and buy another property and wealth. Right, that I think that the situation at the moment was pointing out to me that, okay, if you live in a house and the house worth a lot of money, you sell it and then you go somewhere else, and then eventually Hawaii is gonna end up full of living there. Then you guys, where you gonna go? Tell me a little bit more. How can you help your community to preserve and to keep wealth?
Well, that's really it. For the local families that live here, and really in any area where the land is expensive. Who owns that land? Well, it's not a 20 and 30-year-old. It's not a 30 and 40-year-old. It's a baby boomer. Their parent has a vast amount of wealth in real estate. They bought it. Classic story, Harry. Client bought it for $25,000. It's now worth $1.5 million. Same house, right?
Wow.
Same house. Same house. And there's
it's enough kids to don't work anymore and to keep the property. So why they are getting rid of the properties and getting rid of the assets?
Well, it's not so much of getting rid of it, it's what they do after they get rid of it. See, you can, in a 1031 exchange, if I have 3 kids, right, or 3 grandkids that I want to bless, they don't have homes or renting, right? They want to buy, but they can't. How come they can't? Because they don't have a down payment. So what I would do is I would sell my $1 million property and I would bless my 3 kids at $300,000 each for a down payment, right? This is how you keep the kids here This is how you keep the land in the local people's legacy, because now you're unlocking wealth from one and dividing into three, and letting them take a mortgage and letting them be responsible and letting them build wealth on their own. But the reason why they can't build wealth, Harry, is because they don't have a down payment. So what we're doing is we're teaching older families to unlock that wealth and bless the next generation. And here's why, because I asked him, Harry, at the end of the day, when you're gone, who gets that? He says, the kids do. So, well, why are you waiting for? You don't need the money today.
100%,
so
100%.
we help you bless them. So we create
And with the
plans to
right
do that.
mentor, I think Dan, the thing is, I think that the missing piece is someone, especially from your own community, that they have experience, they can trust, they're looking at the best interest, right? And I think that this is the missing piece, that
Yeah.
we need more and more people like you teaching, not only from Hawaii, but also all over the United States. So to
Yeah.
help as more people as possible, because sometimes is keeping the wealth is the biggest challenge, because exactly as you said, they don't know yet they are investors, and if they don't know how to deal with that, then everything goes in tax, everything disappear, and the wealth quickly disappear.
Yeah.
So apart from your book, Dan, tell us what else are you in place in order to help out the community of investors, especially from Hawaii.
So in our book, Property Decisions, and I recommend everyone buy that because it'll tell them stories of good and bad about people making good decisions, bad decisions, regarding making money, regarding avoiding tax, avoiding family disputes. It talks about 20 years of our life is in this book. But in the book, it says to go to danihara.com. And when we finalize that, which will be done in the next week or so, the consumer is going to go there and they're going to get information, free information that they'll find anywhere, number one. But we also are building a whole training environment for professionals. So all real estate agents outside of Keller Williams will have access to this training. Financial planners will have access to this training. CPAs, insurance providers, attorneys, because in what we're building, real estate wealth hive. And the real estate wealth hive is a collaboration of professionals. See, in today's world, the problem that we see is that the wealthy, you have a trust attorney, a CPA, and a financial planner, right? But none of them talk to each other, right? The attorney does his thing, the financial planner does his thing, and the CPA does his thing. And then when the client comes to say, what do I do with real estate? They go, just keep it. Keep it until you, right? They don't teach you how to measure it. They don't teach you about tax. They don't teach you how to avoid tax. They don't teach you how to build a legacy. And that's why the real estate planners has been born. And now that's going to be out to every real estate agent on the planet in the real estate wealth hive. And that training will change the world of how professionals see real estate and how to build wealth, protect that wealth, and then pass it on.
And then that is go to the path to become a professional landlord, right? Exactly like you would say, there are people that own 3, 4, 5 houses, and they don't consider themselves either landlords and investors. We have a situation in the United Kingdom where the government doesn't want anymore the landlord that owns one house, and they are changing the laws, they are changing everything in order to have professional landlords. It's in their interest because they want that those professional landlords comply with the regulation. Look properly after the tenant. So these things that I don't know how the situation in the United States, you can share with me, but it seems that governments are leaning more and they design tax incentives or tax schemes in order to leaning more to do larger benefits to the professional landlords, because they understand that if you own more than 2, 3 houses, okay, then you are more aware about the law, you're more aware about the tax, you're more aware about your responsibilities, and if you own a house there in London, or you own at least even 2 houses, if you don't have the right mentor, you don't have the right space, it doesn't really is gonna work because government over there is closing down more and more and more on those individual landlords. So what's the situation here in the United States? It's similar. Is interested that just don't have individual landlords anymore, or landlords that have one or two properties. But actually, exactly like you said, this is a family. We have the concept of family office. Like for example, these three kids, they have 300,000 each, and now they go and they buy two properties. Well, that can be enclosed into kind of family, mini family office, and now they can purchase asset. And at least they are three together, so they have a better incentive to thrive. So tell us, what is your view in the individual landlords in the United States? Do you think that they disappear, or there's still room for them?
If the question is, will the landlords disappear? I don't think so. I think there will always be investors.
No, the landlords that own one or two houses, the small landlords.
Yeah, I think the real estate industry in itself encourages the investor to invest, right? The investor typically wants a diversified portfolio. The difference between real estate and other assets is, one is you get depreciation. That's an expense that it's like free money, right? And so you can't do that if you buy gold. I get no depreciation if I buy gold, silver, or any other asset, right? Number one. Number two, we have leverage, right? We can buy $1 million property and not give them all $1 million. I can give them 250,000 and I get $1 million asset. In 20 years from now, that's $2 million, right? So the principle of compounding really works very well in the world of real estate. You hold it long enough, it's going to appreciate at a click of 4 to 5% a year. Over time, that's going to grow for you. So you have appreciation, you have cash flow, you have depreciation. And then the other asset of value is the 1031 exchange. You can buy something else and not pay any tax, right? But if you have other assets, stocks, bonds, or otherwise, the moment you sell it, you're paying capital gain tax on the first dollar that you made. And so that's the benefit, and that's why real estate will always be on the table for the wealthy. Real estate will always be an investment tool for them because there's more benefits than just making money and a percentage of yield, right?
And other wealthy people, they own real estate.
Yeah.
They make sure that to generate laws and things that protect those assets. So tell us your story, Dan. How you decided to start in real estate?
Oh, geez, I did a lot of things. I sold waterproof cameras around the world. I sold cars for a living in a family business. And then I was traveling a lot. So I decided that my wife said I should stay home and find a job to still stay home. And I really like real estate. I got into real estate. I did well my very first year. I got into the top 100 realtors in 12 months of being a licensed agent.
A friend told you, you saw a TV show, you opened a book.
No,
What happened? How you find it?
I met a guy that was a realtor, and he encouraged me to sign up and become a realtor. I was looking for a different job. I was looking to maybe do pharmaceutical sales. I'm a sales and business development kind of guy in my life. But 21 years ago, I got into real estate. I found
what a place. Me too. 20 years ago, my first business was in real estate. Out of luck, it was beautiful. Yeah, it's I got lucky that I chose that one.
But my approach was a little different from most, because when I got into that business in real estate, I realized that the people who had the most amount of wealth in real estate were older. So, and the people that age demographic, they have one of two problems. Either their home's not going to work for them very well and they have to move. So I built a model around senior relocation services. Where do I go? How much does it cost? What does life look like? Who can help me? How do I get there? I answered all of their crucial questions. I became the solution to their problem, right? So I've been an entrepreneur. This is my 6th career that I've had in my life. I'm 62 years old. And every business I had, I went to define a problem and I solved it. So I'm not selling anything, Harry. I'm not a sales guy. I'm a solution guy. I'm a consultant that's going to solve somebody's problem. Well, then the next thing I found, that I was helping these older families move out of their home, going to retirement communities and care homes. And then they kept saying that they had other properties. So then I got really good at 1031 exchanges. I became the national expert in 1031 exchanges. So much so, Harry, that I've never failed one. Over 450 times, never failed one. I have a motto, and
wow,
I teach
very
this
impressive.
motto. Yeah, I teach this to consumers. I teach this to real estate agents, to financial planners. How do I preserve that wealth and actually allow them to unlock wealth? See, what's happened is they bought it a long time ago, right? In the 60s, they bought these properties for dirt cheap, and now they're too expensive to sell and just pay this on it. So I'm unlocking that wealth, allowing them to keep all the money, no tax at all, and I'm allowing them to reposition the money either into a passive income stream, which is a Delaware statutory trust, where they can have a passive income stream of about 5% with no headaches, no hassles, no management, or they can reposition it to bless their kids, or they can go to short-term rentals, or they can go into other areas in the country that can get you 10% returns, right? In our market, in many markets around the country where the land is very expensive, you're looking at 0 to 2 to 3%. I mean, it's not a lot, right? So that's what we do is we have them see real estate differently. It's not a house with doors and windows. It is an asset that's like $1 million or more, right? I go into a family's home the other day, and I said to them, they were worried about their future, they were worried about money, and I said, you know, under this carpet there's $1.5 million, and she goes, where? And like, what could you do with that? And it just opens their eyes to possibilities, and that's what we do.
Dan, you share with us that less and less are buying properties, right, or investing in property. But the truth is, where you're located, it's really, really difficult to get into a property line because houses are expensive. So how you decided to take your program all US, so there are more opportunity in other areas, but things are different, no? Regulations are different state to state. So how you pick the winning horses?
You know, ours isn't based on property, it's based on people, right? And in our book, the first thing that you read in our book, the first line in our book says exactly that. Let me just read it real quick. It says, every morning somewhere in America, a family is being torn apart. Every day, right? And so we know that this is going to happen. We know it happens every day, and our goal is to get in front of it. So it doesn't matter what city you're in, because there's old people everywhere. I mean, think about it. There's aging demographics in every community, right? And for some odd reason, almost everybody I talk to, they have parents, right? They've got somebody that had bought wealth and built wealth and now is trying to figure out what to do with it, right? And they don't want their kids fighting. It
And
doesn't
also,
matter.
Dan, when you came to my attention also that you had to prepare for it, okay? Because that's the other thing as well. Sometimes if you don't have any will, if you don't have
Yeah,
anything prepared for it, or you have done exactly as you say, why wait until this is happened? I think that it's gonna be sad that you
yeah,
know when something happened and then everything is lost. Imagine the life work, the
yeah,
parents
yeah.
all gone. And I talk to so
100%.
many people. I talk to so many people also. They say, "Well, my parents, the house is paid." And then when you speak with the children say, "No, no, no, but we already have wealth. Or we don't want to do anything with the house. This is we are busy. We already own. We're doing very well." So someone was telling me exactly this Sunday. This like telling me the story that the guys are in Florida. They bought a house. Of course, if you buy the house, you own a house. You don't get as much benefits as other people because you own an asset of worth around 1 million. Okay, so the owners of the guys, the owners of the house, they are all clearly they need help, right? In terms of to pay for the staff, parts for everything. And then there is a situation that they're sitting in this house that worth a lot of money, and they need some help. And they can't afford as much help as they wanted. And on the other hand, when you ask for the children, say no, no, but all the children they own the houses, they are all very well, and they don't want to do nothing with the house. They say when something happened, let's see what happened with the house, but something happened then, and then it's a problem, right?
Yeah. So Our
We are
methodology
too
is
busy. Everybody's too busy.
yeah,
That the lot of like $1 million property that is sitting there, and nobody even had the time to like someone like you that can guide them and clean and continue
so
this legacy, or even refinance that thing and give them to those to the parents. No, 100,000, 200,000, and for go buy medicine to do whatever they want, right? Because still it's
yeah,
$1 million mortgage free property.
yeah. The approach most professionals and realtors take is they tell people what to do because they think they know what to do. See, my approach is completely different. I have a question-based approach. So I can get you to change your mind and get your thinking to change once I present to you some information that you're not aware of. So I can walk you down that conversation. So Harry, I can tell you there's only two types of people in this world. There's a proactive and a reactive person. The proactive person is go move when they can move when they're healthy enough to move when they can make their own decisions. And then the person is a person exactly what happens is something bad shows up, they got to move. And how does that feel? And is that a comfortable thing? And what happens if one of the spouses passes away and now you got to move on your own? So let me ask you, Harry, which one would you like to be, a proactive or reactive one? See, I can guide people down a path of clarity, of helping them self-discover what they really want by just asking them questions, right? It's a methodology. And in my book, there's 62 questions that we ask the consumer and reader to ask themselves to help them self-discover what's best for them. And so our model has always been question-based methodology.
So Dan, tell us about your book. What inspired you to write this book, and what is your favorite chapter?
Well, Gary Keller actually inspired me to write this book. He's been my mentor. I've been very blessed to be around just a
The,
kind,
the book
smart,
is quite thick. You wrote a lot. How many pages that thing have? Wow, it's huge.
318, only because it's
Oh
in
my
the
God,
large print. It's in
you
large
wrote a
print.
lot. Yeah,
Large
okay.
print. Yeah, so it's easy to read because the words are bigger, right?
Easy,
Um,
very good.
there's 10 chapters. Each one is very special to us because it's a journey. But by the time you get to the 10th chapter, the 10th chapter puts everything together. And it's because plan methodology, PLAN, right? We talk about the properties. Is it working for you? Is it something that's feeding your needs? And not only today, but for tomorrow, right? For that person who's living in their house as they're getting older, what does life look like in 5 years from now? Do you want to react to that situation or do you want to be proactive? So questions like that around there. And then their investment properties, are they performing as well as you'd like them to? Well, nobody measures that. When I ask every single person that comes into our office what your cap rate is, nobody knows what it is. They don't measure it. They don't keep track of expenses, and they don't know the value of their property, nor do they know the market value of the rent they should be getting. So it's always underperforming, right? So, but we talk about the properties, and then we start talking longevity. What do you want life to look like between now and the end? This is different, right? This is not a realtor talking. This is a consultant speaking because money is good for the good it does. So how do you want to use your money for the rest of your life? And so I changed the way they think about things. And I doors of opportunity for them to think bigger than they have. Because most of these people that are older, they're byproducts of the depression and they're savers, right? And they come from scarcity while they're sitting on $5 million of real estate. Okay. They have the real estate, but they don't have cash. They want to bless their kids, but they don't have cash. So once I shine a light to the fact that this real estate, you can turn that into cash. You can turn it into value that can be transferred to another piece of real estate with no tax, and you can bless your kids, right? So all of these conversations come up. The A is assets. What are the assets that you have? From your Social Security, from your long-term care insurance, your life insurance, all your assets. Because what most people think is they're going to run out of money. Most older adults, they're afraid of running out of money and being kicked out on the street, not having a home. But the reality is almost all of them have too much money. They can't spend it all. In fact, some of them are near estate tax limits where there's an estate tax burden of about 40% in the federal government, right? That's huge. Right. And so preparing them for preserving that wealth for the next generation really, really matters. And the last is at the end. the next generation. Ask them to tell us about their kids, about their grandkids, about, are they married? Do they own their own home? Do they own their own investment property? Would it be good to teach them how to build wealth like you did? Right? And these conversations open up opportunities for them to think, yeah, I can actually bless my kids more than just dying and letting them fight over their real estate, right? I can bless them today. I can maybe provide a down payment for a house for them to live in, maybe a down payment for an investment property to start building wealth, maybe buying a condo for their grandchild, things like this. We unlock the potential and opportunities for that, because our goal is to show them things that they didn't really realize existed, the opportunities that are there for them and their family. And so I don't talk about buying and selling real estate. That's a byproduct of what we do. What we do is we create real estate plans that matter to them. Now, the reason why it is that way is because I ask enough questions so I know what matters to them. So everyone is customized. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with our team. It has completely to do with the consumer, the client that owns this property, and sharing a dream of what could be, right? How to protect it all from your family, from probate, from taxes. And those conversations are meaningful, and we're changing lives.
So Danny, someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works?
You can go to dannyhara.com and you can find me, and you'll have an opportunity to get some free training. And after the free training, if you want to have a conversation with us, you can click on the button and schedule a consultation. And in the consultation, it'll be 60 minutes, and I'll ask a lot of questions. I'll help you self-discover what matters to you. And that's the other thing, Harry, is most people, they don't know what matters to them. They don't know what they want. But by asking enough questions, I help them self-discover what they want. I allow them to think bigger than they ever thought before. This generation that's older, they're kind of hoarders, right? They want to save everything. They're budget conscious people, yet got millions of dollars sitting in real estate, right? I say to them, hey, what do you want to do in the rest of the world? Travel. Well, when you travel, do one thing, go fly first class, because you can't take your money with you. Enjoy the journey, right? Enjoy the fruit of your wealth, because at the end of the day, it's just going to go to your kids, and I think they're going to have enough, right?
So I'm a regular speaker in family offices events, and when we talk, I see them talking, and they saying, Harry, when we have the kids are 8 years, 9 years old, we sit them in the boardroom so they can start to listen the conversation. Okay, we buy this building, buying this property, what's the return? And they see the kids since they are very young to listen those conversations, so they get used to in order to present the wealth of family. Some of them don't give them a job in the family office. They say, no, go and work somewhere else until you learn and you know what you're doing before you manage the wealth of the family, or you become part of the wealth of the family. On the other hand, we see a very common say that, okay, parents, grandparents build wealth, the parents preserve it, but then the children, they don't own it, right? This is, we see this more and more and more out there. So what's your message for these young entrepreneurs, for these young individuals that are now third generation, and a lot of wealth is going to be transferred to them, and they have an immense desire to buy a Ferrari, to buy a big house, to surround themselves with liability rather than assets, and then one day they miss a payment of the Ferrari, of the big house, or the whatever they did, it's all gone. And it's sad, and they don't need to. This third generation, in terms of transferring wealth, what they should be doing, and what's your message to them?
Start the conversation early. As you just mentioned, start when they're in elementary school, right? Teach them about the value of money. Teach them that money is good for the good it does, for the world, not for yourself. Teach them that you're going to have enough money, more than you'll ever need, and you don't need to have all these material things. Are going to leave the planet, right? When we go, everything will turn to rust, right? So what matters to you, right? In our world, our business and our family, we're Christians, we're believers that God put us on this planet for a reason. And our goal is to change the world in a positive way. It doesn't mean that I need to have a Ferrari to do that, right? It means like, what good can I do to change the community I live in, to change the world I live in, the country that I live in? What can I do to impact the world outside of me, right? Once we get the kids to think outside of themselves, now they're going to see a bigger picture of the world, a contribution of the world, knowing that they're going to have enough, right? Knowing that they're going to. The second thing is you kind of compare yourself to other people, right? That's the with the world today is the Instagram, the Facebook. Look at all these guys driving all this stuff. Yeah, most of those guys, they're spending all this money and they have no wealth. They've never built wealth. Wealthy people, they don't do that stuff, right? Because you don't need to. You don't have a desire to, right? Because in different ways, right? And so that's the surface people that think they're rich, that they'll all gauded up with all this clothes and stuff and driving all these cars. Yeah, there's a very, very small percentage of that. They have to do that just to burn through their money, right? Because they got too much of it. That's not our market, right? That's not our market. Let those do that. But for the vast majority of our clients, it's really as money is good for the good it does. So what good do you want to do in the world? Take it outside of yourself, right? Get into what would God want you to do with that? And who could you help? Right?
A lot of people come talk to me and say, Harry, I just want to help people. And I just telling them, look, if this is what you want to do, you have to become really wealthy. Otherwise, you won't be able to help anybody. It's good that you want to help people, right? But use those as property to generate wealth. Then you will be able to help a lot of people and, and will amplify your good heart. But if you don't know how to build wealth and how to preserve wealth, you won't be able to help anybody because you need resources to make that change, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, yes, the what you were saying, I remember I used to do a property events in London. One speaker came to me once. His name is Dan Hollywood. He has, we call it the HMO daddy. He was house of occupancy. He owned lots of those ones. Yeah, and he came to me. He used to be a teacher before, and he told me, Harry, I'm building something amazing. So yeah, what are you building? He told me, I'm building a dynasty. What's that? He told me, Harry, look, to explain it very simple to you. I'm building something so the children of 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 my children will never have to work again. And I'm putting in a structure to that, right? So they can use that money exactly what you said to the benefit of society and things like this. So he's taking it even further than like he put in a, I don't know, it was a those ago we had that conversation. I was very how he taking wealth seriously and make sure that from generation to come in the family that wealth is preserved, right? And I think that this is the older generation that have the wealth has some responsibility to that to the next generation, right?
Well, I can tell you that that's where the problem is. If you live your life so that your kids will never have to work, that's the kids that are having problems. If you don't contribute to society, if you only take, you become that person. So my kids will always work. They're wealthy enough not to work. They're going to work. Why?
They
Because I
have to do
want them to
something for the
contribute.
community. They
Yeah,
have to do something.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It should never be that I'm going to make so much money that my kids never have to work. I do not subscribe to that at all, right? Because I want contributing to the world, and the money that they got, I want them giving money. You know, Gary Keller, he has this hierarchy triangle. It says think a million, earn a million, net a million, and give a million. And until you give a million, you haven't arrived yet, right? Go give $1 million, right? And that's what we believe in. You know, in the Bible is to tithe 10%. You know, the ultimate goal to me is that I get to keep 10% and I give 90%. I'm not there yet, Harry, but that's where I want to be. I want to be able to give 90% and just live on the 10% that I am, because it's not about me. And the problem with the world is it's all about them. It's about people want to make money for themselves. People want to make money so they look good and they, have all the material things that are going to rust and die at the end of the day.
And
That's
it
not
does,
who I am.
and it doesn't mean anything. It's not gonna help you. I think that if you buy these things, they're gonna make you happy, and
No,
you
no,
want
no.
they
No.
happens when you have to transform someone's life. The fulfillment that gave you, like this family that you're helping, this something that can give you a lot of fulfillment. There is a distinction, like for example with your children, right? They have to work, but there is a distinction. They work because they want to, not because they have to. And
Yeah.
they work in order to help the community to do something positive with their work.
Yeah.
I agree with you that it's not about the children don't have to work anymore. Well, don't have to, but that doesn't mean that they have to put some work in that community because they become wealthy in the first place thanks to that community, right? That they were around, and
That's right.
some problems we see sometimes even some countries, right, that they do investment in Africa and they get themselves even the water and the food, and they don't create one job, and they take everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
this is no. We talk a lot in this podcast about social responsibility. Is whole idea is to do good and make money at the same time, and it's possible. Is it possible then to do good and make money?
No, it's 100%. People think that making money and buying things are going to make them happy. I believe happiness is a choice, not a condition. It doesn't matter. I travel all over the world, the poorest parts of the world, and people are happy. They don't have a Lamborghini. They don't have fancy cars. They don't have AC. They don't have running water, and they're happy. So why is that? These are the happiest. And then yet you see millionaires and billionaires very unhappy, committing suicide. Why is that? Because they're tying their happiness to a thing. And that's one of my missions is don't tie happiness to a thing. Happiness is not a condition of if I get this Lamborghini, I'll be happy. No, that's what the world teaches you. I believe that happiness is a choice. You get to choose. Every morning you wake up, be grateful you have breath in your lungs. Be grateful that you can see. Be grateful you can hear and touch things and feel things. Be grateful.
I remember that, like, I started with this property thing. A friend told me you can make a lot of money, and I want to be a millionaire. I want to sell my first million, and it was all about that. And I remember when it happened, I was so immersed in the business that I didn't even notice. The accountant told me.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
even, and I'm thinking that was such a big deal. It was no, I make a big deal out of it, but at the end, when you have it, you don't even notice. You're so impressed. You're responsible for your tenants. You need to give them hot water. You need to have the electrician there. You need to now. You have 177 tenants, and I have them. I keep them bed in London. If one this or whatever, you need a heater. That thing has to work, otherwise, a big problem there. And the more the business grow, you have more responsibility and more responsibility. And the other thing is a myth. Oh, when I make a lot of money, I'm not gonna work anymore, and I'm gonna go to the beach, and I'm gonna be well. I did that after 2 weeks. Guess what happened? I'm so bored. I'm like, what I'm doing here? What's the point? I'm bored here. What I'm
Yeah.
gonna? So it's sometimes we follow stereotypes of what we hear in the social media. We hear there, and we want to be that, but when you actually inside there, you realize that there is a bigger purpose. And
Yeah.
this podcast actually is a consequence of that, right? I had such a hard time building my first business, the property, and I was so alone, and I didn't have any clue what I was doing. That it's my pleasure to bring experts like you, so the young generation at least they can listen, because that's what they do. They listen podcast, right? So they can listen, they can have some role model to follow, they can have a different view of what is out there. So thank you so much, Dan. Have been fantastic. Yeah, you made my day today. Keep doing
Thank
good.
you.
Keep making money and doing good for your community specifically, right? Like I said, have been came to my attention that properties over there in Hawaii, they are too expensive, and more native Hawaiians they are kind of selling and going somewhere else, and now a lot of people with a lot of money live there, Because of course, if you have money, who doesn't want a house in Hawaii? And if you have $1 million, you go and buy from the natives, right? But then what happened with these natives? Where is it gonna go? Or the son of the natives gonna buy a Ferrari, gonna buy that, and then nothing. So keep educating your community. That's in terms of legacy, a bigger mission, and most important, right, to keep culture, to keep legacy in place. And who's gonna thought that in Hawaii, which is something very special with very rich in culture, somehow property is gonna go so high that now even the people from there are struggling to stay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And for all of you following the podcast, see you in our next episode. I'm going to stop on how brave entrepreneurs like that break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.